The following video is me talking about my own game. Expect bias and bees. Hello there, and welcome to The Bee Game. This is a game for 2 to 4 players. Playtime is between 45 to 90 minutes, and it is a moderately complicated game. This is a board game about bees made for humans. Scout your world, forage for resources, and build your hive. As your hive grows, focus on strategies of play to achieve victor bee points. The player with the most points wins the game. Each player begins with a hive, some brood comb, which represents your brood chamber, a dusting of pollen, a queen, and bees. In this game, your bees are your actions. The more bees in your hive, the more things you can do on your turn. Likewise, the more comb that you build, the more storage space you have for other resources. On your turn, you will take 3 bees and have them work inside the hive or outside in the field. Working in the hive lets you take the hive actions, and working in the field lets you take the field actions. Those 3 bees are committed to hive or to field. Each player alternates using 3 bees until all players have used all their bees. Then the game turn ends, and all the bees return home. This game is broken up into the 4 seasons. We start in spring and end in winter. When winter comes, we'll score the progress of each hive. Every time you achieve a goal, place a bee directly from your supply onto the Victor Bee tracker. Every one of these goals is different, but something that bees really do care about. All of these contribute to Victor Bee points, which contributes to victory. Now onto the crux of the game, the specific actions your bees may take. If you choose hive, you will take 3 bees and place them directly into your hive. These will stay in the hive until the end of the game turn. The hive actions are to process, build, nurse, or guard. As your bees forage in the field and bring home nectar, bees convert the best parts of nectar into liquid gold. In this game, you process by placing a bee onto nectar. You flip the nectar into honey. This is the only way to create honey, both in life and in the bee game. Well, now that your hive has honey, you might decide to build some comb. This represents the consumption of honey by your hive. About 7 pounds of honey go into 1 pound of wax. Spend 1 honey, place a comb adjacent to any other combs, and then a bee on top of it. You have now built new comb, which is storage. Nursing answers the ultimate question. How can I get more bees? Bees feed their young on a protein diet called bee bread. Pollen is the ingredient they use to make their babies grow up big and strong. In the bee game, you nurse by placing your bee onto any comb that does not have nectar or honey and spending 2 pollen. Alternatively, you can reduce the cost of pollen by 1 by placing a bee into the brood chamber and spending 1 pollen for 1 bee. The final hive mechanic is guarding. Guarding protects your hive. In fact, every hive bee stays on their hex and guards it. For a robber to occupy a hex with a guard, they have to place a bee onto the guard, which removes both. So guards protect your hive, your honey, and your nectar. Even though every hive bee is a guard, you can actively guard your hive. If you place a guard onto a robber, both are removed to their spent bee section. Actively guarding helps remove any bad bee. Whenever you use 3 bees in the field, you must first check the weather. On sunny days, the bees of the yellow hive can fly 3 hexes away. On overcast, it's only 2 hexes, and on rainy, it is 1 hex. There is a current weather and the forecast for next turn's weather. You will always, always, always know what weather is coming next turn. There are 3 field actions: scout, forage, and rob. Scouting lets you explore the map. Place your scout directly into the spent scouts and draw 1 tile. If you draw a terrain tile, place it directly onto the map at weather range. If you draw an effect tile, keep it. Each effect tile is unique and either helps your hive or hinders others. Once there are tiles on the map, you can collect from the trees and the flowers. Each tree provides 1 pollen or nectar and can have 1 bee placed upon it. Put a bee on the tree and a resource directly into your hive. Flowers work the same way, except 2 bees can be placed onto a flower. Flowers are really cool. If you connect 3 of the same color flower, they bloom. Blooming flowers flip from the 2 side to the 3 side, and they now provide up to 3 nectar or pollen in a turn. While flowers are awesome, they are not as reliable. If flowers ever have 2 or more bees placed on them, they become exhausted. Exhausted flowers cannot have any bees placed upon them until after a rain turn. The last field action is robbing. Bees go to war, and the spoils of war are honey and nectar. Robbing is an opportunity to steal honey and nectar from other players and to earn victor bee points. Yellow decides to rob blue. Yellow places their first bee into any of the territory spaces and all other bees adjacent, and the 3rd bee could be placed directly onto a guard. When a robber and a guard are in the same space, remove both. Now it is blue's turn. Blue decides to work in the hive and use a guard to protect their honey. On yellow's turn, they decide to go back to the field, and the first bee is placed onto a guard. The second bee is placed onto the honey, And the third bee does not enter the hive, but instead goes straight to the spent pool and steals a honey directly into their hive. Robbers can steal nectar and honey and also remove hive bees. Lastly, if there are any robbers in your hive, you cannot build or swarm. The absolute final action of the game is swarming. When a hive becomes too powerful, it goes through a process of mitosis called swarming. Essentially, the queen's pheromone is stretched so thin that she needs half the hive to leave with a new queen and build a new hive somewhere else. Instead of using 3 bees in the hive or the field, you may swarm by spending 6 bees, 3 honey, and your queen cell in exchange for automatic victory points. The earlier in the game you swarm, the more victory points you earn. I hope this video introduction gives you some more insight into bees and the bee game. I was a beekeeper for a long time, and when designing this game, I worked very hard to ensure that every facet plays well and is accurate, albeit gamified. As you play, you will learn to see the world through their eyes. This is what the bee game looked like a year ago.